Oh, that was the scariest thing because I always want to be able to hand a problem to a professional and say, fix it. And when those professionals look at you and they say, this is there's no chance, and they don't want to sell you hope at all. And I felt like they were on my team, but at the same time they were trying to be very realistic, and I was like, we don't have time for realistic here. This is my child.
When we speak the truth of what we've lived, we offer others a way through. I'm Danielle Elliott-Smith, and this is Hope Comes to Visit. I'm so thrilled you're here with us today. Today's guest is a longtime friend of mine and someone who most assuredly is going to convince you that the rest of your life is most definitely the best of your life. Valerie Rowekamp, also known as Vivi Chantal, is a model, content creator, and founder of a luxury lifestyle brand that celebrates beauty, boldness, and reinvention. Based in Denver, Valerie is a mother of 3 and a vibrant force in the world of fashion, wellness, and digital influence. From walking runways to walking through life's most sacred challenges, her story is one of resilience, radiant self-expression, and transformation. Through her platforms on Instagram and YouTube, she's redefining modern femininity, reminding women that it's never too late to become the most magnetic version of themselves. Let's take a quick moment to thank the people that support and sponsor the podcast. When life takes an unexpected turn, you deserve someone who will stand beside you. St. Louis attorney Chris Dully offers experienced one-on-one legal defense. Call 314-384-4000 or 314-DUI-HELP, or you can visit dullylawfirm.com. That's DULLE lawfirm.com for a free consultation. Valerie, friend, it is so good to see your face. For lovely friends who are joining us in this podcast universe, Valerie and I go way back into the blogging world more than probably a dozen years. And
OGs.
We're OGs. So it's been a while since I've seen you. And what is so extraordinary about this experience for me getting to see you is I know so many iterations of you and the reinventions, and have witnessed some of these challenges, and getting to see where you are right now it's beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm so glad you're here. So let's talk a little bit about one of the things that you and I have in common, the mom blogging world, right? So I want to start with motherhood, because one of your most transformational experiences was within the realm of motherhood. So let's start there. Let's talk about your role as a mom.
Yes. Okay. So my role as a mom, I honestly feel like for me, motherhood, my children have needed 3 different mothers. Like, I feel like I'm not just, what was it? It's basically, yeah, I feel like through each birth of my child brought forth a different version of me that needed to come forward. And honestly, I feel like one of my children, who is the most hard to deal with child, he is the most like me. And I feel like he healed parts of me that needed to be healed at the time. And then there was also Rex, who was born, and he has had 5 heart surgeries, and he is just a little ray of sunshine. And he brought out other parts in me that are very sacred. And then also there was just a lot of trauma there and stuff. And so, yeah, I feel like with motherhood, that has been its own journey on its own. Yeah.
So Rex, going through the surgeries with Rex, because I know at one point when you and I were first talking, because this podcast has been in the making for quite some time. And when I was first talking about doing this, that was when you first said to me, I'd love to tell my story. And there's been so many other reasons for you to want to share hope in addition to Rex since then. But having had that experience with him, tell us a little bit about your journey with him What was his
Okay.
birth like? What was his, initially you think you're having a healthy pregnancy.
Yes.
And then you have an ultrasound that is not quite what you expected.
Right. Yes, exactly. First, I found out I was pregnant with him, and I was so excited. This was my third. And so, like, yeah, I've done this before. It's going to be easy and fun, and I'll make new mom friends in Colorado. And then at a 17-week ultrasound, I got the news that just something was wrong. That's all they could tell. Something was wrong with his heart. And so we're like, okay. And we then get very scared because they don't even know if he's going to survive, like the pregnant. They can't tell me anything, basically. So then I go to Children's and I go to the cardiologist, and they tell us, like, yes, he has transposition of the great arteries. He has pulmonary stenosis, ventricular septal defect, atrial septal defect. And is there a fifth one? Maybe pulmonary stenosis. I don't know, but they tell us all that stuff.
You're rattling all these off as though this is like you're a heart expert now. And this all had to be language that meant next to nothing to you initially.
Right. It was terrifying. And I mostly wanted to know, is he going to survive or not? Basically was kind of what was going on. And so then as soon as I'm able to wrap my head around his diagnosis and the fact that he's going to need surgery and he's going to be in the hospital for a long time after he's born, I start to feel comfortable about that. And then I wake up at like 3 a.m. one morning, and this was a couple weeks after. So I was 22 weeks when my water broke. And normally, and it happened at night. It was very traumatic. And whenever I went to the ER, the nurse was telling me, like, there's no way, nobody breaks their water that early. I promise you probably just wet yourself. But no. And so then after that, things just got super dicey because most women give birth within like 72 hours. And I managed to make it for, I want to say it was like 9 weeks. So that happened at 22 weeks. And then at 31 weeks and 3 days was whenever I actually went into labor.
How in the world? I don't know that I've ever heard. I didn't know that it was possible to have your water broken and then, I mean, clearly I'm not a doctor.
I know,
but I didn't know that it was possible to have your water broken and then continue to be pregnant for weeks.
Yeah. And I didn't either. And they told me multiple times, like, your other kids need you. And if you want us to, and you don't need to continue the pregnancy, this isn't going to end well. He could be deformed. Like, they gave us a very small percentage of 1%, especially because of the heart thing. So he, in addition to being a preemie and not knowing how if his lungs developed or anything like that, then he also needed to be like a certain weight so that he could have heart surgery, because they couldn't even do heart surgery unless he was a certain weight. So he had to be over, what was it? It was supposed to be over 32 weeks before they would resuscitate him. But I was 31 weeks and 3 days. And while I was in labor, they were asking me, do you want us to take him to the NICU? Do you guys want to say goodbye? That kind of thing. And I said, please just do whatever you can. And so they did. And then, and he ended up having like 2 surgeries. Like, this could be a whole podcast about him, but he had to have, what was it? 2 one was planned, one was unplanned. He had 3 surgeries total, but 2 were open heart surgeries, before he was able to come home. And then it was just such a huge ordeal for that first like 6 months, because we had 2 planned heart surgeries, 2 unplanned, because the first 2 just needed a little extra help. So there was that. And then he had another one whenever he was 6.
He is a little miracle boy.
He is. He lives like it too. Like, he lives life to his fullest. I feel like he's met all of his angels, and so he knows he's good. And he is just like such a ray of sunshine and just lives his best life.
What makes you say that? What makes you say you feel like he's met all of his angels and he's good?
Because he lives like that. Like, he lives like someone who knows that he is supported by forces that are unseen. Like, Yeah, he absolutely lives like that. And then he just always knows like the right thing to say. And he's just like, just the happiest little boy. I didn't know it was possible to be so happy. And that's what everyone tells us. All of his teachers, he meets random strangers on the streets. Like he doesn't know an enemy except for maybe like his middle brother. But yeah.
Is he the one that's the most like you?
Yes, yes. Or wait, which one? Rocco or Rex?
You said the one that's challenging.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Rocco. Rocco
said,
is the one who is the most like me.
Yes, because I was going to say Rex is the sweet little ray of sunshine, and his middle brother is the one that gives him a run.
Yep.
That is so
Rocco's
funny.
spicy.
I mean, it's like he's hope personified.
Oh my gosh, he is. And that was one of the things that got me through that pregnancy, okay? Because for me, with that pregnancy, I had to live every moment like, okay, he is alive right now. Like that was the only, I could just cling to each moment. Like it's right now. That's the only time that matters. He's still here. And I felt like whenever I was sitting in my living room and I was pregnant and I had like all of my family members in the same room, I was like, this might be the only time. And the tagline for one of the groups that was very supportive to me, their tagline was, where there's a heartbeat, there's hope. And that's what I just clung to. And honestly, that helped me through the rest of my life. As far as my mindset goes, it's like right now we are okay and we don't need to worry. And it ended up working out. But yeah.
You sound so spirited about it. Do you worry about him, or do you feel as though he is protected?
No, I do feel like he is very protected, and I don't like it. I feel like I went through so much trauma with that. Like I honestly feel like I could do anything after that, because I'm like, if he just lived, we're good. Like, and I also had a moment where, what was it? I started bleeding in the time, and overnight I had to sign papers that like, if I'm asleep and I just start hemorrhaging, you guys can do a blood transfusion and that sort of thing. And then they just immediately have to end the pregnancy and stuff. And so having to live through that night just made me feel like I can get through all of my worst days. Like I hope this is my worst day, but also even if it's not, I know that things will be okay. And Casey, one of Casey's quotes, Moosh and Indy, Casey Mullins. Sure, okay. Yes. Her quote, everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. That gets me through so many things too.
She is going to love that you quoted her. She is she's one of my close friends. She is going to love that you quoted her. She is such a good soul, right? And she's, like so many of us, has been through a lot and has continued to persevere. What is it that continued to get you through as you were trying to talk yourself through this minute, this hour, this day?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. What did get me through? Because I really feel like I white knuckled that whole thing, honestly. I was so scared. And then I guess, I feel like I had to be very detached from him. That was one of my coping mechanisms. I was scared of him when he was a preemie. I was very scared of him because I was afraid. Like I was like, we have done this much and we have gotten this far. And if I touch him and get like germs on him, he could get some kind of infection and die. So after that, I was very afraid to hold on to him. And so I feel like, yes, a lot of detachment and just being very more like internally focused helped a lot. And then I just had to have a lot of trust in the medical team because, like God can't like really send angels to you or anything like that. But you have all of these people who are on your team and they just, So that whole beautiful network just had me have to trust and have faith. And so,
Sounds as though you were surrounded by angels on every level.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
So then you take that experience and you're raising him now. How is he health-wise now?
He is great. The only time we have issue is whenever he is actually whenever he actually has a surgery. So like whenever he was first born, we were at he was very high risk and we were at the hospital, I want to say weekly. And then we got weaned to like every few months. And now it is just one cardiology visit. But like whenever he had to have surgery, he had more visits. And then I feel like he wasn't himself and he was in a lot of pain, kind of, sort of, for maybe 10 days, which for me was very beautiful and healing to see, because I was afraid that he had like lingering medical trauma and stuff like that. But really, it was like he whipped back and recovered so fast. And we had hard nights because it was hard to sleep at night when he couldn't really move and his chest hurt and stuff. But other than that, he just lives a completely like normal life. He keeps up with his brothers. Yeah. And I also feel like he's raising me in a lot of ways, just as the third child, I definitely feel like he's raising me in a lot of ways.
Is there, and I've always believed that my kids are my greatest teachers. And I think that Rex is taking you to a new level of that entirely. But are there other scheduled surgeries that the doctors have said when he's 17, he may have to have this? Or is it just he's good as far as we know?
Yeah, no, the thing is hopefully the next surgeries that he has will be in the cath lab. So they gave him he has a bovine conduit in his heart, and they tried to give him a large one so that he will hopefully grow to adulthood. And then in the future, they can just handle it in a cath lab where they go through his ankle and they're able to dilate it and make it bigger. But honestly, I have trust in whatever has to happen. Oh, you get that. Okay. In whatever has to happen, as far as he is concerned. And also, I feel like our kids are put on this planet to sometimes stretch us, to advocate for them in ways that we didn't advocate for ourselves. And I keep learning that over and over again. And it is beautiful to be able to be this person's superhero and the person who like is the reason why they're on this earth, And so you just kind of work together through all of that. But yeah.
So then let's talk about that, because you've been his superhero and there is an element of you getting to be your own advocate, your own superhero now, as you step into the rest of your life, the best of your life, right? And I got chills when you first said that before we started to talk, and then I built it into the beginning of the show, right? Because it's the versions that you and I get to live now, having gone through things, we get to choose the best of our lives.
Exactly.
What does that look like for you now? And what are you stepping into? Tell us about this version of you right now that's sitting in Aspen.
I know. Oh my gosh. It is so surreal. Okay. So, as far as the rest of my life being the best of my life. So basically it was January, it was New Year's of 2024. So from 2023 to 2024, that New Year's, I was in bad shape. I did not like the way my life looked. And I wrote down my biggest dreams of what I wanted. I wanted to model. I wanted to get back into blogging. I wanted love. Like, I wanted all of it, but I was also very afraid to ask for it. But also, I didn't feel like it was my place to tell myself no. And so I decided to, I found the best modeling agency in Colorado, and I submitted photos to them and things, and they ended up looking through all of my online portfolio. They looked through all my YouTube videos and things. And so whenever I went into that interview, I thought that I needed to impress them. But really, when I sat down, they were trying to convince me to join, and they were telling me all the good things about the agency and stuff. And so I signed with them. And then after that, also, my ex, he had like a 3-pack spin class thing, and he wasn't using it, and I was very bored, and so I decided to do that one 6 a.m. morning, and I got addicted to it. Okay, and then it healed a lot of things in me for a lot of different ways, but I had a spin class addiction. And from then to now, I like released like 70 pounds and I just like have a much healthier relationship. I feel like with food, with my body. I just always want to be like really strong and I'm always striving. And I never in a million years thought that at 42, I was going to be modeling. I was going to be advancing in modeling. And then also, I didn't know that I was going to be in the best shape of my life and then trying to get better, you know, like it's really cool. And it's also really cool to see like my kids be so proud. And then they're also very influenced to live like a very healthy life just because they see me and that. And so, yeah, it's amazing.
I love this. What was the tipping point, do you think, from, I don't know, that the tipping point from I'm unhappy, I don't like my life, to can I ask for something different? Am I allowed to?
Right, right. It was so hard. It was, I mean, it was that mindset of just, I'm not going to tell myself, no, I'm going to live my best life. I had to develop a lot of audacity. Like, honestly, that is a lot of it. You know how people say, like, you're Delulu, make it Trelulu? Like, that has been me this whole time. And I am always the most shocked person to be like, wait, that worked out? That happened? And so that's totally been how
Yes,
it's
you said
gone.
you're getting ready to walk Fashion Week, right?
Yes, yes. I'm getting ready to walk in Aspen Fashion Week. Thank you.
I am
Thanks.
so proud of you. I'm so excited for you. What has been in the past year, let's say, what has been the most surreal? I actually had the audacity to wish for it, and here it is.
Yeah, yes. Okay, one of them was shooting a commercial with Peyton Manning. And I mean, even that, also the thing was funny was less than like 24 hours before I shot the commercial, I had surgery. So I had like a laparoscopic surgery to get my tubes tied, but I didn't tell anybody because I was like, you know what? I'm going to be an extra. I'm going to be fine. And I was. But yeah, that was one of those surreal kind of moments of, yeah. And then I've just done so many cool commercials and photo shoots, and like it's been a lot. And now I'm just really excited, honestly, to integrate that with what I want to build online, and you know, this Vivi Chantal that is debuting. So it's cool.
Okay, tell us about Vivi Chantal.
All right, Vivi Chantal. It is, for me, a lot of it is I like to live my life like I'm on vacation. I feel like you should have a life that you don't need to take a vacation from, basically. And so, and I know, like, you know, we've got kids and all the things, but at the same time, you can still be fabulous. Like, honestly. And one of the things that motivates me to go to the gym for, I think up to now, it's probably like 350 spin classes. One of the things that motivates me is like, I get to wear a really cool outfit, you know, like I get to wear this like aloe set or whatever. And then if I decide to go on a weighted vest walk later, I can wear another cool outfit. And then I can also take my little selfies and stuff, my mirror selfies. And like, that is honestly one of the things that motivates me. But honestly, it's really the hill climbs. And that's whenever I channel my Rex energy, is whenever we're doing like the really hard hill climbs, or like I'm in Aspen right now and I had to like walk like almost just straight up for a hike. And I always tell myself, you can do anything. Like, even if I don't necessarily, I'm just always like, you can do this, you can do anything, you can do this, you can do anything. And then I also just use like the kindest voice I can to myself. And that is one of the superpowers that I have learned in all this time. Because as a woman, when you are so outwardly focused, you don't feel like your world is yours. You know, you don't feel like the main character in your own story. And I know, like for me, I had to wait 40 years before I knew I was important. Like, honestly.
You know, it's funny that you said that main character sentence, because for the longest time I said that I had a starring role in someone else's story. And it was really hard for me to take ownership of the fact that I had allowed that to happen.
Oof.
And unwittingly, I mean, it wasn't as though I was marching along and thinking, I'd love to be your main character, rather than my own. It was just that I had allowed it to happen and found myself walking up and down the stairs in my house thinking, how did I get here? This was not part of the plan. And this is someone else's story. This is someone else's timeline. This is not what I had planned. And there have been different pathways that I've had to take in order to get to where I am now. But this is the truest version of me that I am. And as I'm listening to you, this is one of the things that's so beautifully inspiring to me about this podcast is that while I am hoping that it will meet people where they are, it continues to meet me where I am.
Ooh, yes.
And I hear you, and I think for the longest time, I just wanted somebody to say something that inspired me to want to move and to exercise. And never in my life have I thought, gosh, I'd really like to move. And you've just said sentences that made me want to feel stronger. And that's never happened before. So
Yay!
I mean, I'm 10 years older than you, right? So I'm 52. I'm not in bad shape. I've just never been super excited. I love to feel fabulous. Don't get me wrong. So I can meet you on that one. But I know that I'm at an age now where I have to work harder at it.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And I need to take better care of myself. And hosted a retreat this past weekend, and we went on a hike, and I did it, and I was proud of myself for doing it. And one of the women I was with said, love to move my body, and I'm always loving to be outside. And I'm thinking, I never say these things. I never just, but then I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, okay, I need more of this type of energy in my life.
Yeah.
So it inspires me to find that in me. And I love that because we should want to feel like the best versions of ourselves. And part of what Hope Comes to Visit is supposed to be is inspiring in all different forms, right? So if you're able to say to someone, hey, there's a better version of you out there and you're allowed to own it, go for it. And
Right.
So thank you.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Yes, and I was at a point in my life where I was tired of going to therapy. I was tired of treating myself like a project that was never going to be fixed, okay? And I still feel like I do that, but I treat it as evolutions and I treat it as levels, you know? And I am totally happy with jumping to one level before I'm ready and then just like dealing with making it come together basically. But I came to a point to where I was very tired of going to therapy. I was tired of overthinking things and processing them. And then came my connection with my body. And whenever you're moving your body like that and you're having to push yourself and you're having to be present all the time, it is very easy to work through. Like your stuff is going to come to the surface. And that is the way to deal with it. And that is what I tell people now also is I'm like, that is my addiction. Like I have a fitness addiction and a lot of it is because that just is my go-to stress reliever and it helps rebalance my nervous system. And yeah.
What would you say is the most important lesson you've learned about yourself in the last couple of years?
Ooh, okay. One of the most important things I've learned about myself is honestly, part of me feels like it feels very it's a different kind of trauma. I wouldn't say but a lot of times I get very overwhelmed whenever I have hit certain goals and milestones that maybe I didn't really think I was going to. And I'm also surprised all the time at how in the toilet my self-worth was, honestly, you know? And when I look in the mirror right now, I'm just like, baby, Carl, Like you are so like it just yeah, it's been cool to witness and it's very surreal. Like if it wasn't my own life, I don't know that I would necessarily believe that all of it was possible, but I'm glad it was. Um yeah,
And
did I
still
answer?
is.
Yeah, thank you. Right, exactly. And I'm right now, like, it is hard for me to think, like, what if life does get better? Like, and I just keep
Why
telling
wouldn't
myself that
it?
exactly. Like, I will get very okay and very comfortable with life getting better.
So then let's play a game, right? So when you say, what if it does get better? Why wouldn't it? So pretend, do me a favor, and
Okay.
talk to my listeners like they are your friends, and you're encouraging them to have the audacity to assume
Oh,
life is getting better than yours is right now.
yeah. Okay. My main thing, honestly, would be dress the part first. First of all, dress the part because whenever I look at that, because I did today, whenever I looked at that picture of myself on February 22nd, 2024, and like I was much heavier, and I like at certain angles, whenever you see me, you would be like, what was it? I don't know. Whenever I look back at those pictures, like I see the version of me, that is right now me, that I identify with. And she had her fingers up and she was just all happy and pumped and excited for herself. And I was dressing the part. Like I had on this cute, like midriff tank top kind of thing with my little biker shorts. And you could not have told me I wasn't the hottest thing in the room. And then whenever I get like 6 months into the fitness journey, I was like, oh my gosh, I think I might be the hottest thing in the room, and then it just kept building on from there. And it's honestly a dress the part kind of situation. Like if like just put on a beautiful dress and clean your house and, just really start to romanticize your life. Cause I don't only romanticize my life, and that is a lot, saying being midlife and having dealt with divorce and having dealt with just various like traumatic issues and stuff like that, after having dealt with that, and then it's yes, there is I romanticize like everything that I can about my life. I will romanticize it, and that especially happens with fitness too. So yeah.
I love how you have put a romantic spin on so many things in your life to continue to encourage you to move forward and dream and hope and wish. How do you define hope?
Ooh, how do I define hope? I I feel like hope is one of those things that whispers, and it's one of those things that it is the thing that you can't even say out loud because people will think that you're crazy for believing that hard. Like that's one of the things that Rex did for me, was because I was offended when they told me his diagnosis and the fact that he had a prognosis while he was still in my stomach. That really bothered me a lot. And so I feel like that, just having all of that happen, started a very deep love affair with myself. And that has been what it's been, because I spent at least 3.5 years not dating, and I was only focused on myself and my family, but really more myself. And that's been so healing for me. So it's like when nobody else is going to show up for you, even if you don't want to say out loud, like, I want to be a top model and I'm, like 42 years old. It is, yeah, it's the self-love will carry you through every single time. Like you don't have to tell all your friends, you don't have to post to the internet, but just like put it out there, dress the part, walk into the room like you own the place, get yourself some main character energy and go for it. Because honestly, it is your world, like you are the center of the world as you know. You are the only Danielle. You're the only I'm the only chance Valerie has to see this whole earth. And I want to see all of that. And in the past, I would have been kind of like, oh, I don't know if I should say that out loud, but it's like, no, baby girl, like we can do this. And so, and I have been, and yeah, Yeah, I'm honestly very excited. And I've gotten to a point to where I'm done grieving I'm done grieving the past. I'm done grieving the divorce and what I thought my life was going to be. And I am very excited about the unknown. And I just love being in that kind of space.
How much of your experience with Rex and you being offended by the doctors having the audacity to tell you that he might not be okay, do you think informs the fact that you said, no, I will not stand for what you tell me. I'm going to stand for what I know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was the scariest thing because I always want to be able to hand a problem to a professional and say, fix it. And when those professionals look at you and they say, this is there's no chance, and they don't want to sell you hope at all. And I felt like they were on my team, but at the same time they were trying to be very realistic, and I was like, we don't have time for realistic here. This is my child on the line. And I was just willing to hang with him. I was like, little guy, and I would talk to him like this, and at first I thought he was a girl too, because they originally thought he was a girl. And at first that's where I pulled my strength from. I was like, I got to show her what women are like. But anyway, aside from that, having to then just completely go out into the unknown and never know for however many, like 9 weeks, and then even longer after that, if he was going to survive. That I feel like that was where I was birthed really a big lesson in hope.
It also sounds to me like you learned to rely on yourself because there was something that you knew, and our inner knowing. And if your inner knowing is going to guide you when the professionals say, I'm sorry, Valerie, I don't know. I can't. No promises here. And there's a piece of you that says, oh, no, I know. And you're right. If you're right about that, you can be right about all things about you.
Right. Yes. And that's so powerful. And I feel like that's the kind of thing that like Joe Dispenza tries to tell people. And but it's really hard until you have to go through it, until you're at your like rock bottom moment. And like I had so many times like in marriage, just the quiet when everybody's asleep and you're on the floor in the bathroom, just like crying, like torrential downpour of like, what happened? That sort of thing. And then that little inner knowing just comes through to help you and give you a little boost and be gentle with you. That was another thing that I learned on my journey. Whenever I was living by myself, I started taking care of myself like a mother would take care of her children. And I became fiercely protective of myself. And it has served me so well because the world can break your heart, but you don't break your own heart. Like, nope. And I also get very triggered whenever people don't like advocate for themselves and things like that. Cause I'm like, you're your only hope. Nobody else is going to do this except for you. And so, yeah, you can pull a lot of strength from that, but truly, yes, just don't believe. You don't have to subscribe and believe to everything that people tell you.
No, I couldn't agree more because I think that it's so important that we are our own advocates. And I love that you said audacity earlier because I think that we would be well served to have more audacity.
Oh, yes.
To have the audacity to believe that we can. Mm-hmm. When your inner knowing serves you up a question or makes you feel imposter-esque, what do you say to her?
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you brought that up because I do feel imposter-esque a lot of the time.
I
A
think we all
lot of the
do, right?
time. Yes.
Especially when things go well, right? When
Yes.
you're in the commercial with Peyton Manning and you think, am I am I supposed to be here?
Right. Yes. Yes.
Right. Right. Does everybody know how old I am? Right.
Exactly.
I have
Yes.
right. And I have those moments too. I mean, I have them regularly, and I spoke to a gentleman earlier who was telling me that he wrote a book, and he showed me the book, and he said, this was my 13th book. And when I wrote it, I put it back in the cabinet and I left it there for 12 years. And I said, you put your 13th book back in the cabinet for 12 years, and then when it came out, it was a bestseller? What about your 13th book made you suddenly think that you weren't an author, right?
Yes.
What is it about we can have a tremendous amount of success and then suddenly find ourselves thinking, no, today I'm not an author. Today I'm not a model. Today I don't have the ability to get on camera and speak. Today I'm a terrible mother. Whatever it is that we do well, the doubt creeps in. What do you say to your loudest voice of doubt when it starts to find its way in?
Yeah. Okay. So the worst moment for me was whenever I was backstage and I was about to walk to Lisa Marie Couture, and I almost had a panic attack because I was like, if your younger self knew that this was what you were going to be doing at 42, like living this kind of dream, but I immediately turned it into that nervous feeling. I was like, this is just you being excited, and you are going to enjoy having every single eye on you, and you're going to walk as slow and as graceful and as powerfully as possible, and it worked. And then the next fashion week, I ended up modeling 3 looks. I made Denver Fashion Week history because I modeled 3 looks in the same show for a designer.
Wow.
And the fact it healed so many things in my body, because she was like, you have the perfect curves for bridal wear. And I was like, okay, I'm like, bridal wear, that's a little strange just because of my weird feelings about marriage. Like the fact that I excel in this. And I was like, this is the best time you get to rock this kind of dress, like you wear 3 $7,000 gowns. You didn't have to pay for photography and makeup and hair. And I was with all of these beautiful women everywhere. Yes, exactly. And I was just surrounded by all these other beautiful bridal models and stuff. And so whenever I am having those little fraud moments, I was like, no, you have worked too hard, sister, for all of this. And that is also the fact, the way that I have worked to become who I am now, it really makes it easy to discern like what people you should be hanging out with, because if they don't see my worth, then I am like, absolutely not. Goodbye. You're blocked. Like you're done. And having that honestly has helped me so much.
See, that's extraordinary too, because that's a place. So you're there earlier than I was, right?
Oh, really? Oh, that's shocking to me.
Well, because one of the things that my ex-husband used to say to me, and again, Jeff and I are very good friends, but he always said to me, Danielle, your expectations of people are too high, because I would expect people to treat me the way I treated them. And when they didn't, I was always so disappointed. And what I have realized in my later years is that I require friendships that match my energy. Exactly. I require, and it's funny because I wrote a blog post about this years ago about having friends who are cheerleaders. I require cheerleading friends. I require people who are, and I have raised Delaney to recognize this as well, that you have to have people in your life who will be as excited for you as you are. So if I can't celebrate you at Fashion Week in Aspen, later. Because if my first reaction is, oh, well, that sounds cool, as compared to, oh my God, I can't wait to see the pictures. Yeah. Right? You are going to rock it. Wow, you deserve that. Even if there was a piece of me that thought, damn, I'd love to do that. Those two things can exist at the same time. I can remember years ago. So Audrey and I did a lot of the same work in the blogging world, right?
Yeah, yes.
Before I ever did any type of red carpet work, Audrey was the first one to do it.